Okay, we're having fun now. Well, the Alumni Society leadership promised you a surprise, and the time has come to deliver. We've got two alums who really wanted to be with us today, but they just couldn't get the right connecting flights to work. So they're about 250 miles away, and I know that doesn't sound like too much, but thinking about the topic of today's event, you're probably catching on by now that we're talking about 250 miles that way. Okay? And so a couple of weeks ago, I was out in Pasadena at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory helping out a little bit with the next Mars mission. And I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing Steve Bowen and Woody Hoburg, MIT alums who are currently on the International Space Station. So we're going to play now a video of that conversation. And Whitney and her team just had an awful lot of fun planning this presentation for you, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as the team enjoyed putting it together and bringing it to you. So stay tuned.
Station Houston, are you ready for the event?
Station, this is Professor Zuber. How do you hear me?
And Professor Zuber, we hear you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
I hear you just great. So it's a real pleasure to see you again, Woody. Last time we met in person was on the MIT campus, and Steve, a pleasure to meet you for the first time. So for you both, I'm the Vice President for Research at MIT and also a professor in the EAPS department, and it's just fantastic to speak with you both today. Okay, well, I'm actually broadcasting here from out on the West Coast with our partners at the Jet Propulsion Lab. So I know you both wanted to beam into our alumni reunion, especially because Tech Day this year is called Research from Above and Beyond MIT in Space. And I'm the moderator for this year's event, and I thought we needed to include those who are physically closest to the work. And so you two were naturals to think about.
Well, thank you, Professor Zuber. We certainly wish we could be there to experience the excitement in person, but it's just thinking about MIT, it's such a special place, really one of the most amazing places on Earth.
So Woody, you were the faculty advisor for the Rocket Club when you were a professor back at MIT. I'm sure we have some Rocket Club alums who are tuning in today. Do you want to give them a shout out?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, MIT Rocket Team. Rocketry was actually a big part of my early development. That's why, as a young faculty member at MIT, it was an honor and a privilege to get to be their faculty mentor. And I'm just so proud of all the students that not only work on really hard classes at MIT, but also enjoy getting their hands dirty playing with some real hardware. I know I learned a lot from doing that, and it's awesome to see students that are also excited about that. I will also give two quick shout outs to the MIT Outing Club and the MIT Ski Team. Both of those organizations taught me a lot about teamwork and appreciating the outdoors, and they certainly left a mark on me as an undergraduate.
So for both of you, what was the biggest surprise about going into space? You know, obviously you train and you train and you train and you prepare, and then you get up there and it's amazing, right?
Yes, there is that. The thing that I have to say this every single time, that the thing that amazes me is how much doesn't surprise us when we get here, because the training is so good and so intense, and then the opportunity to be able to work with people who have been here before really prepares you well for when you get here, what you're going to experience, the pleasant as well as the unpleasant. You know, we kind of discussed it all, and certain things never get old. For instance, floating just never gets old. The view out the window never gets old. I don't know, what do you think, Woody? So on.
Yeah, for me, I think the single most amazing part has been watching how the human body evolves and adapts to new environments. That is truly remarkable. And it's everything from watching our vestibular system change to the fluid shifts in our body. It's a pretty extreme change in environment. And the human body just, I grew about 3 inches up here, spinal elongation, just from the loading being different. And all sorts of other changes that you definitely feel and notice, but it's just amazing watching the body adapt. And it's also impressive mentally, just how quickly you get used to new environments. I still remember, this is my first flight, unlike Steve, but I remember the feeling of being on the ground and not knowing quite what it would be like to be always weightless and to be in space. It's a new experience. And have this amazing ride up on the rocket, 8 minutes of excitement, flying uphill, and then second engine cutoff, and you're weightless. And that was a little over 60 days ago for me, and I've been weightless ever since. And it's amazing how quickly you get used to that being your new normal.
So Woody, you talked about the influence of rocketry when you were growing up and how it got you interested, how interested you were. Steve, were you always interested in space, or did you develop that interest at a later time?
Oh no, I was always interested in space. I'm significantly older than Woody, shall I say, and so I actually watched Neil Armstrong step onto the moon in 1969, and so as a very young child, it sort of set the bit in my brain. I never thought it was possible, though. I mean, I joined the submarine force after graduating from college, and it didn't seem like a career path option, but I applied and I was accepted, and it's which is like winning the lottery in my mind, and it's been amazing ever since. But it was always back there, but it's one of those things you never think you can do, and so just sort of out there for everybody. The worst they can say is no, and that would have been okay. I would have been perfectly happy, but this is just an amazing opportunity, amazing experience. And I want to add on to something that Woody was saying about how the body adapts. And this is not a fashion statement. This is actually part of the science we do up here. I don't usually wear headbands, but I actually have a whole suit with a suite of tools that are measuring part of my biometrics. And so we are our own experiments as well.
So I know that you both have a message that you'd like to transmit to the surface here.
Welcome aboard, Sally. It's great to hear that you've got a tremendous position and tremendous responsibility for the school. That's incredible.
Welcome to MIT and the amazing position you're taking on. We're really honored to welcome you aboard the International Space Station, and we wish you very well with the mission you are continuing to forge ahead with back at MIT. It's near and dear to my heart, and we're so proud of the work you're doing every day.
Okay, well, they're letting me know that we're coming to the end of our time, so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank both of you, to congratulate you for representing MIT in such a dramatic and hopeful way, and thank you for being a part of MIT's Tech Day, Steve and Woody.
Yeah, thank you. It's such a pleasure to get to talk with you, Professor Zuber, and to the MIT community. The work that you are doing is so important, and whether you're a student learning and getting ready to contribute as a leader in science or technology, we need you. We need you for the challenges ahead. Or to the faculty members and other members of the MIT community, you're pushing the boundaries, and we're so proud of everything you're doing. Such a special place, and it was just an honor to get to talk to you today.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event.
Thank you to all the participants from MIT and JPL. For the ISS, we'll resume normal operational audio communication.